Big LEZ'S League, an all rugby league experience.
Hello, welcome back to Big LEZ'S League, an all rugby league experience. I'm your host, Big Les. Make sure if you haven't yet to subscribe to Big LEZ'S League and become a part of the Big LEZ'S League community. Welcome to our new show. We've got a new name for the show. It is called True or Rue, and what that means is it's either true or we are talking about rumours going around the league in this coming week. Just trying to figure out a proper name for the show and to get a nice little graphic. You would have seen the thumbnail. Let us know what you think. Let us know if it needs a little bit of a tweaking and stuff like that. But just experimenting over the next few months and as to what content could look like, what content to put out. I'd love to hear some suggestions from you guys in the comments as well as to what you guys would actually like to see moving forward on Big LEZ'S League. What do you think of the Drawing Board, which is our Supercoach and NRL fantasy show? If you haven't seen that yet, make sure to go have a look. It is quite good. We've got that. We've got obviously this show, which we're doing now. We've obviously done similar things in the past few weeks, obviously talking about news and rumors on the podcast and doing it here on the YouTube. But this is the actual show name now for it. We got a bunch of other content. Obviously, the Origin period had that content. We'll start to do a few more spin the wheel stuff during the off season on the YouTube as well. But let us know what content you'd like to see and what you'd like us to talk about. Any questions that you have as well that you'd like answered on the podcast. I'd be more than happy to answer questions in this show before we get into the news updates as well. Just chuck them in the comment section of the YouTube and I'll get straight back to them when I can. On the next show. I'll get through as many of them as I can as well. But let's get straight into the updates. We'll quickly touch on the Latrell thing. We're not going to talk about it for too long, obviously, because there's not much to talk about here. Obviously, it is disappointing to see. It's not what you would have expected to see. And Latrell is such a good player, a good person, off the field. He is a great person off the field. What he does for the community and stuff like that as well. He is just such a great person. It is so unfortunate to see this happen. Obviously, it doesn't look too good for him in that image that was shared around social media. But I want to wish him all the best. I'm behind your corner, Latrell, obviously, through this tough period, because it is going to be a tough period over the next few weeks for Latrell as we go and see what happens with the judiciary. Obviously, looking into him now and stuff like that. It is going to be a very tough period for Latrell Mitchell over the next few weeks. So I just want to wish him all the best. I want to give him my support because, it is going to be a tough time for any person to go through this sort of thing. And, for someone in your inner circle to break your trust like that and leak a photo. Buzz was talking about the fact that, the person was trying to sell Latrell Mitchell the photo and get money out of him otherwise, and, threatening to leak the photo as well if he didn't give them a certain amount of money and stuff like that. So it is just unfortunate to see. I think Latrell Mitchell needs to be a little bit more, careful with his inner circle and stuff like that, as well as every other player in the competition as well. Rennie Matua said it perfectly, just talking about the inner circle of players and stuff like that, how they have to be very careful who they hang out with. But look, we won't talk about this too much. We do wish Latrell Mitchell all the best going into the next few weeks, as it is going to be a very tough period for him. Hate Latrell, love Latrell. You see what Latrell does for the community. You've got to respect the bloke. And I have the utmost respect for Latrell, for the person that he is, and just the person that he can be as well. I've seen him many of times doing Rabbitohs radio for captain's runs and stuff like that. I've spoken to him, one or two times as well. He's a amazing human. So I do, everyone makes mistakes. I do wish him all the best during this time. Let's talk about Valentine Holmes signing with the Dragons. Probably one of the more unexpected signings of the week. There's been rumours about this for the past few weeks that this was going to take place. I love this signing for the Dragons. I think that he'll end up playing on the wing. I think that he has played his best footy this season in Origin on the wing as well, and a little bit for the Cowboys on the wing as well. So I think that's where he'll end up. He'll end up there on the wing, playing some really good football, hopefully, for the Dragons. 2024, it's been a very up and down year for him, obviously, being a little bit inconsistent with his form. Obviously, defensively has been a bit of a concern there for him this season, but I think with a full preseason under Shane Flanagan again, them reuniting for the first time since obviously they've both been at the Sharks together. I think it is going to be a really nice marriage there, him going over to the St. George Illawarra Dragons. I sort of had the feeling as soon as he met with Shane Flanagan in Townsville before his game on the weekend that it was going to be pretty much done from there and that the signing was going to happen. It is 3 years, 2.5 million, so it's around 750 per season. It's a great deal for Val Holmes. I think he's just about to hit his 30s or just into his 30s now. Valentine Holmes as well. He's still got plenty to give in terms of football. I think he's actually 29. I think I checked today just before heading into the gym. So he's got plenty of footy to give. As I said, I think that he'll end up on the wing. I think he'll do a very good job there on the right wing. Obviously taking Zach Lomax's spot. I think he slots right in there. I think their best backline at the moment is Christian Tuipulotu and Val Holmes on the wings. And then obviously pretty close to the centre pairing they have now, which is, let's just have a look at what their current centre pairing actually is. The Dragons, just forgot off the top of my head, we are looking at, I'm going to get it as soon as, Matthew and Max Fagai at the moment. But they obviously had Moses Sully in there. I think Moses Sully will certainly be in the centres. I think Jack Bird could potentially end up in the centres as well next year, depending on how they want to shape their back line. But Max and Matthew Fagai have done have done very, very well this season when they've come into this side. And Christian Tuipulotu has been one of my favourite guys, just watching him improve this season as well. He's been outstanding. So, very keen to see what the back line looks like, but I am pretty confident that Val Holmes will end up on the wing there and not in the centres. He's been playing centre all year, I know. I just feel like he's going to be a winger moving forward. I think that's probably his best position going into next year as well. Look, there's a lot of rumours about him going there to play fullback. I don't think so. I know that Tyrell Sloan has been in some great form of recent, but, there has been a little bit of inconsistency there and there has been a few dramas with defence, so it's obvious that these sort of rumours would come out. But I think that Tyrell Sloan keeps that spot. He's the future of the club. He's a lot younger than Val Holmes as well. And at the end of the day, I think if Tyrell Sloan ends up in reserve grade again for a long period, there's a big chance they lose him. And I don't think that the Dragons want to lose another rookie. So I'd be locking him up and playing him there in that fullback position and keeping Val Holmes there on the wing. Potentially giving Val a roaming license, just depending on what footy they want to play. But I think Val, as I said, he'll end up in the back line somewhere, most likely on the wing. And I think Tyrell Sloan will keep his spot at fullback. Looking forward to seeing how Val Holmes goes there. As I said, it's going to be a pretty happy marriage, him reuniting with Shane Flanagan. Very excited to see it. Blaize Talagi, the signing got announced, him going to the Penrith Panthers. It looks to be a 2-year deal. Very, very happy for him. I am looking forward to seeing how he goes at Penrith as well. It's going to be a big challenge for him. Obviously, it sounds like he's going to be the number 6 to replace Jerome Luai. He has played 6 in the lower grades before. He's also played 6 in first grade, I think once or twice for the Parramatta Reels. So looking forward to him taking this challenge on with 2 hands, obviously in for a big preseason. He's had a sensational in-season as well this year with Parramatta, playing a host of positions, whether it be 5'8", fullback, or in the centres, particularly centre for the most part during the year. He has been outstanding. So looking for him to have a massive preseason going into next year and hopefully locking down that 5'8" spot. What's interesting is he'll obviously be battling there with Dane Laurie and Brad Schneider. Always good to have a bit of healthy competition, but I imagine that Penrith would be quite confident that Blaize Talagi is that guy in the number 6 going into next year. I think they put a bit of size on him, and I think that he gets that spot to start the year next year no matter what. And Dane Laurie, Brad Schneider, they've got to fight to get into first grade as well. So looking forward to seeing that battle take place during the preseason. But as I said, I am very confident that Blaize Talagi will be the 6. Look, a lot of people shouting out saying he should be in the centres. I can see it happening, obviously, with Sania Taruva leaving the club at the end of the year to take a trip to West Tigers. I think that there's definitely a possibility that we see Blaize Talagi end up in the back line. I just think it's a bit of a waste. This guy is a once-in-a-generational talent. I think that he deserves to be a star player in the spine, and I think that he'll absolutely kill it there as well. The good thing about the Blaize Talagi as well is that he is extremely versatile. So if it doesn't work out and he doesn't fit into that system there in the number 6, you can obviously move him to another position, most likely potentially on the wing or in the centres. Keep in mind as well, I think that spot is going to be filled by either Casey or Jesse McLean, or both. I think they could both possibly come into the back line next year. Jesse McLean, people forget how good he is watching Casey on the field week in, week out, absolutely killing it. People do forget how good Jesse McLean actually is as well in the few games that he's come in to first grade, particularly his last one this year where he absolutely brained it, scored a couple of tries. I think that he'll end up on the wing there for Sania Taruva. They'll work him into that jersey. And I think Casey McLean will be battling for a spot in the centres as well. It is going to be very interesting to see how they line up next year. The Penrith Panthers, Paul Alamotti still in the race there as well. That's going to be an interesting battle just to see how he comes back into this side. You've also obviously locking in Isaac Tungo for a spot there at right centre. It is just about filling left centre and right wing for me. Those spots are very much so up for grabs, and I'm very keen to see who grabs that spot to start the year, or those spots to start the year for the Penrith Panthers. As I said, Blaize Talagi, though, for me, he is locked into play 6, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Where does Blaize Talagi end up in this Penrith Panthers side? Let's move on to the next and final little bit of news here. Euan Aitken signing with the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Huge signing for the South Sydney Rabbitohs. I think that he'll go very well there. Obviously, these rumours, they had been circulating for a while, for about 3 to 4 months. We've been hearing that Euan Aitken was going to follow Wayne Bennett off to South Sydney. Loving this for South Sydney. Loving this for Euan Aitken as well. I think he'll fit right in. I think he goes into that left back row spot. And I actually think it's a perfect opportunity to play Tallis Duncan on the right edge. You play Cam Murray at 13 and you play Keon in the front row. I think that Keon next year moves into the middle rotation. I think Wayne Bennett would be keeping a very close eye on South Sydney and how they're going this year. And I think that he'd be definitely very keen on Keon as a middle forward, just with how he's gone this year in that position, whether he likes playing there or not, which we've heard multiple reports saying both. I think there's an 100% chance that he ends up there in the middle of the field. You look how crucial he's been in key games for South Sydney through the middle of the park. I think there's a pretty much 100% chance that we do see Keon Kalamatangi earn himself a spot in the middle rotation himself. David Mawali starting up front, kept the Wep coming off the bench. I really like that sort of bench structure as well, that forward rotational structure. And I think that Keon would kill that role there in the middle forwards. And I think that middles are just middles these days as well. You look at a lot of the rotations in the NRL with how the game is changing throughout the middle of the park. Obviously, front rowers getting a bit of ball skills. They're basically playing like the modern day lock anyway, a lot of front rowers in the competition. So, middles are just middles these days. And I think that Keon's best position is middle. So I think that he'll end up in the middle of the field going into 2025. I want to hear your thoughts, though. 2025, is Keon an edge forward or is he a middle forward with Wayne Bennett coming in? Let me know your thoughts. But Euan Aitken, I think he does take that left edge back row spot, and I think he kills it there as well in what is a pretty lethal left-hand side. You're working out what this left-hand side could look like for South Sydney as well. You'd probably go Jack White at 5'8", Euan Aitken there in the back row. You then have, it's going to be a tough one actually, that left edge. Who's going to be left centre? Obviously, you've got Campbell Graham to come back. You've got Isaiah Tass to come back into this side as well. You've got Tane Milne, who's been killing it this year, far out. It is going to be an interesting little battle there for that left centre spot. I think that Campbell Graham locks down right centre because he's been playing his best footy there, for the time that we've seen him at the start of the year and obviously, last year as well. So I think that Campbell Graham goes right centre and then right wing would be Tyrone Munro. Alex Johnston, obviously left wing, but left centre is going to be very interesting. Regardless, left hand is going to be very, very dangerous, that left-hand side. And I think over the past few weeks as well for South Sydney, since Cody's moved over to the right-hand side, their right side has become equally as dangerous as what we know to be from the left. I think that it is going to be a very left-hand side, dominant side, South Sydney going into next year with Cody Walker, running the side there in the 7 if he is the 7 again in 2025. You then have obviously Campbell Graham over there. You have Tallis Duncan over there as well. And then big Tai Munro. Keen to see how he goes this weekend in New South Wales Cup as well. But He'd think that he'd be in first grade going into next year if he has a really solid preseason. Really excited for this South side next year. Hopefully a little bit of less injuries for this South Sydney side going into next year. The injury run, we hope it is a little bit better than what we've seen this season. But Euan Aitken, I think it's a great signing. It's a very Wayne Bennett signing, and I'm very excited to see how he goes in South Sydney colours. Let me know your thoughts on this signing, and let me know your thoughts on all of the news we've talked about today. This is the True or Rue show. True or Rumour. We talk about all rumours and news going into the round of football. Make sure if you haven't already to go ahead and subscribe to Big LEZ'S League and become a part of the Big LEZ'S League community. All of the socials will be in the description below. Make sure to chuck in some questions for us to talk about on the next show, as well as obviously all of the rumours and news going into next week. But there you go. We'll see you guys in the next one.